Hey everybody, this is Eric Blend from the Blended Homestead. Thanks for watching the West Virginia Department of Agriculture homesteading series for all of our veterans. First off, thank you for what you have done and what you do to protect our country. Without that, I wouldn't be able to do this, and we really appreciate that. We hang a flag right in front of our house every day for all the veterans that have fought for us in the past and fight for us now, so thank you. I first wanted to get off and tell you about our pastured broilers system that my wife and I use. So we lease this land. We currently lease 5 acres, and we've done chickens. This is our 4th year. We started out doing our first year with 15 chickens. Last year we grew to raising over 900 in just these 3 tractors. So this is a chicken tractor. This is, if you've heard from Joel Salatin, this is a design similar to his. So we use 10 by 10 chicken tractors, and it's covered on the back side to decrease wind during cold days, and then also to help them get out from under the sun in the warm days. The trick with a chicken tractor is to build it light enough so that you can move, but heavy enough to keep away predators. Predators are the #1 thing that you're going to deal with in homesteading. So having a plan from day one is going to help you out. So what we do with all of our broiler chickens is we actually run these in with our laying hens. So I'll show you our laying hens here pretty soon. So right here, just last week, we were raising all of our chickens right here. We had about 200 chickens in these 3 tractors, about 60 or 70 in each, and then it would get moved every day. So if you look back, that was where they were. So we took our chickens last Wednesday, so this hasn't had any meat chickens on it for approximately 5 days. So timing is really important for us. We are rotational. We practice rotations on our farm, and so by doing that, we move our meat chickens every day. Our layers get moved at least every 2 weeks, sometimes even more than that, depending on what the land's telling us. So if it looks like they've torn it up or we have a lot of rain coming through, then we'll just move them again. But it's a simple process that from day one we've created a system so that we don't have to put in large amounts of labor. Trying to minimize your cost of labor is important when running a homestead business. So we have our 3 tractors right here. While we have our broilers, we have to feed them. So we get feed mixed at a local feed mill. You can get, every person that raises chickens is going to have a different mix, different exact amounts of sunflower seeds or corn or soybean in your feed. But it just depends on the kind of chicken that you're raising. So broilers need a higher percentage to start out, like a 20, even a 22% protein, which is going to be increased protein so they can grow quick. Our pastured chickens are raised for about 8 weeks, plus or minus, depending on processing with our USDA processor. But we time it so that the day that we get our chicks, we have our processing date set. So we try to, have as good of birds as possible, but we can't because we are taking them to a USDA processor. For us, it is about an hour-and-a-half drive to take our chickens over. So we have to deliver our chickens, and then we will have to make another trip to pick up our crates and everything. But the feed, we will go pick up our feed and have them mixed in 500-pound increments. We were seeing with all these chickens, they would go through it depends on how many chickens you have and the age, but they're going to go through feed. And the more feed you feed, the more grain and feed that you give to your chickens, the bigger they're going to grow, especially when raising a Cornish crossbreed like we do. So we use these waterproof containers. You can get them from Sam's Club for $10, and we use these for layers because they're easily movable. We can break them down and stack them to conserve space. They're just really handy to have around. We actually started using these because we started working with a local brewery, and we would get their used spent brewer's grain, and we would feed it and supplement to our layers, our broilers, and our pigs as well. So after they're fed, and they get moved every day, then we're gonna load them up into poultry crates. So poultry crates is one of the things with our homestead. We're farmers, but we are a business. And so keeping costs low is very important for us to make sure that we aren't taking a loss on everything we send out, and then so also we want to keep our prices as low as for customers. So these are wooden poultry crates that I've built. I can send, if anyone's interested, this is a really easy plan, but I have a hinge on the top and they open right up. They're not the prettiest, but after cost of building all these, I have about $10 in each in parts. But then if you buy a nice plastic one that you can reuse for 20 years, it's gonna be substantially more, about $60 a piece. So my thinking is, if I can keep my costs as low to start, if at some point my wife and I decide we don't want to do pastured chickens, we could change out, and then we don't have $2,000 worth just in poultry crates to deliver all these. Each one of these crates typically will hold 11, 12 chickens going to the processor. So my wife and I, we have a small Jeep that we will load up our chickens on a trailer, a simple, I think it's a 5x10 trailer, stack them up and strap them down, and then we'll head down the highway. But keeping costs low is very important, but then also making sure you have good quality. These crates, when you think about it, the days we're taking chickens to the processor, it's only 3 days a year. So we don't want to invest in something that we're only going to be able to use 3 times out of the year. So I'm going to go over here and I'll show you exactly how we move these every day. These chicken tractors, they're designed where we have a 5-gallon bucket, which when it's the warmest, we probably have to fill this up about twice a day. And then we have a nipple system where there are poultry nipples that run to it so they can drink as much as they'd like. There are nicer systems that you can, even if you're growing, you can run one line and have continuous water flow to all your chickens. But right now this works perfectly fine for us. But you need to be able to find a system that works for you. So every morning, picture I'd have 60 or 70 chickens in here, and before I go to work, I'll come out. I've designed these so that they'll have wheels on the sides. And then I have nails, or I have screws in the side, so that I'll put the screw wherever, so I can lift this up enough so it'll clear, but I don't want it to have a large gap where chickens can be able to escape while I'm moving the tractors. And of course, sometimes it doesn't work the best. As a farmer, you have to realize that and adapt. So sometimes I'll just come out and every day, and even with one side that fell down, it's perfectly fine. I'm just moving it 10 feet each day. So you could even hook these up. That's without any tractors or anything. With chickens, it sounds good to move them with a side-by-side or something, but if you have that vehicle, either a four-wheeler or utility vehicle or anything, running right here, the chickens are going to run away from you. So creating that where you can even have a winch and you can pull them, but just making it so that you can move them every day is important. They'll get fresh grass, but then also everything that they leave behind, they don't live on their poop. Every day they get new grass. And that's really important to know that our animals had the best life possible. And what we say here is there's only one bad day on our farm instead of an entire life. These chickens would be living in confinement houses, packed to the gills. Our chickens get sun every day. They see what rain is. And that's really one of our happiest days, is we can take our chickens, and the first day they see grass, it's great. But so we'll to get into the chickens, or to move them up into the chicken tractors, we have to start them in what's called a brooder, and that is really a chick daycare. We're heat lamps, where they're really small, so we'll have them in there approximately 3 weeks, and then they'll be growing, getting enough feathers on them so that they can handle those variations in temperature, and they can deal with wet. If you would take chicks, we live right on a nice big road, and obviously we don't have any problems at all. It's really nice. But with the chicks in the brooder, you just have to make sure that they're big enough so they can handle coming outside. And that's one of the challenges. Is, you know, you will have losses because of cold temperatures or cold nights, but being able to minimize your losses is what can really help your homestead. So each one of these, so just for numbers, if you get a pad of paper out, so this is a 10 by 10 chicken tractor. You can easily hold 60 chickens in here. So if we measure it out, they're in the brooder for 3 weeks, and then they're out here for 5 weeks, because their life is 8 weeks to get a finished, about a 4.5–5 pound chicken. So they're out here 5 weeks, and they're moved every day. So to raise 60 chickens, you don't need a huge farm, especially in rotation grazing. You do not need a big farm. It's actually more work than what you need. But we're gonna be moving this every day. So all you would need is an area 10 feet wide by 350 feet. And I got 350 because our chicken tractors are 10 feet wide and 10 feet long. And then this chicken tractor being moved every day for 5 weeks is 350 feet. So an area, and you don't have to go in one straight line. You could even start out and you do a U, so that'd be a 20-foot section by 175 feet. I mean, it's really being able to minimize size. You don't need 100 acres. And then with this, we had all of our laying hens in and around. So we're gonna go up and show you our laying hens and what we do with them, and how they get fresh grass and everything. How we rotate them similarly, but a little different than our pasture chickens. Just wanted to show you guys up here with our egg layers. So right here down below is where our meat chickens were, and where these were yesterday. I moved this all up myself. A system that we've designed like this, one person could easily move. We have 135 chickens in here right now. One person could easily move this in easily less than an hour or two. But and with us, we're moving these every 2 weeks. But the one thing that's important is our fence. We use Premier One electric netting, but you can find any kind of mobile poly wire fencing. This is just a light plastic fence. We currently have in here, this is 300 feet of fencing. But as you can see, if one person wants to move it, it's very easy. You can just lift up and move. And this makes it really important because, everything's not a perfect, everything's not exactly the same. Certain areas, if we get a lot of rain, sometimes we will have to move and take them off of this. So we don't want to create erosion, and we don't want our animals to. So with an easy fence like this, just on a day when you're up here checking, it's, oh, we got a problem here. And then you just take it up, move it. And of course this electric is turned off. And just like that. If we want to, we could move it all the way over. We could make this smaller. But the trick with rotational grazing is having the right amount of animals at the right age on the right size paddock. So a paddock is a determined size of an area that you keep animals in. Whether that's permanent fencing or mobile fencing like us, Smaller paddocks get more impact, so you're gonna have to be moving them more often. But then we don't want to have a paddock so big that we're never moving them. We want the paddock to be just small enough, just so that we want the paddock to be small enough, just so that we can have just the right amount of impact, hopefully. But weather conditions will change that constantly. You just have to always keep up. As you look over here too, we have our pastured pigs that we keep. We have 8 pigs over here. We have 4 different breeds. We have a similar fence for them as well, but that one is specific for pigs. If you're interested in pigs, you can, or chickens or anything, obviously get a hold of me. We want to have people come up and show you what we've done. This is now our 3rd year raising pigs, and I can't imagine any other way to raise animals. But with our chickens, so the essential things with a coop, 4 chickens, you're going to have to keep them and get them out of the weather somehow. So a coop could be simply anything with a roof over it. You do not have to have sides. As you can see, we have wire here on the side so we can increase airflow. And our coop, as my wife camera lady comes over and helps out, our coop has a 1-inch wire floor, and then these are our roosts. Roosts are supposed to be off the ground, but our chickens love it in here. We've used this coop for this would be our 2nd year using this, and we only had to clean it out once. The reason why is because we used to use the milk cartons in the back as our nesting box, but they had hay in it, and then or straw in it, and they would scratch it out, and then they would poop on the straw, and it would build up. But since we figured that out, and we don't have the nesting boxes in here, all the poop just falls right down. It's awesome. This is 8 by 8, so it'd be 64 square feet. If you start looking at numbers, it'll tell you can, depending on what website or who you ask, they'll tell you how many chickens, oh, well, if you have one that big, you can't put more than 60 or 70. In an 8 by 8 coop like this, we have 135 chickens, but they're only in here at night. So it doesn't need to be the Rolls Royce. And keeping our costs low, as I said before, is very important. But they're going to get in here at night, and we will actually, when we get new chickens, and especially since this is new for us, starting year number 2, we filled it in, and we started with last year we had approximately 80 or 100 in here, and then we saw that there was ample room for more, so then we added another 20, just adding a little more. And we haven't had any issues at all. So an 8 by 8, 64 square feet, it's 135 chickens. That's not all laying chickens. One important thing about our hens are the roosters. You're supposed to have 1 rooster per 10 hens to make sure that everyone has their ladies. You don't want to have too many roosters. That's where you get a lot of fighting. But also with having an area 300 linear feet around, these roosters will, and all these chickens, there is a pecking order, and they will fight, and they will have their arguments just like humans do, but we have ample room for them to get away, and so they can still live a happy life. You might want to wonder why we have a bucket right here. This is the way that our coop is. This collects water. When it rains, this bucket will collect water. That will minimize the time that we have to water these every day. If we can collect it right here, then I can just take it and then dump it right out, into the waters for them. But our primary source of watering are these IBC totes. So these are 300-gallon totes. If you get these, you want to make sure that they're food grade and that they are washed out sufficiently. 300 gallons of water will feed laying hens at least 2 weeks. Typically, we will use one of these, and then we get a fitting so you can run it from an IBC tote fitting onto a garden hose fitting, so that we'll have a valve at the end of the hose, so we have water wherever we want. But you want to have this water above, and we just gravity feed. We don't use We only use one trash pump. Down here, it is approximately 300 feet away. We have a 2-inch trash pump. Costs about $250. And then this year, what we've done is we've ran 1.25 inch black poly pipe. We've attached it to our 2-inch pump, and then we'll pump that water up. Now it'll only pump up so far, but if you can have a water source that is above your animals, you're good to go. It makes it so much easier having that water on demand. When we first started with these, we were carrying 5-gallon buckets out. It's really good if you want to work out, but I want to make it easy. I want to make it enjoyable for when I take care of my animals. So what we'll do is we'll fill these up. So that one's full, just sitting and waiting. And of course these are down below, but I just moved these up. So that one will be empty next week, and then I'll be moving it up and then filling it up above so that I have water whenever I need it. With the feed, this is the feed that we use. It's a mixture. And of course these are down below, but I just moved these up. So that one will be empty next week, and then I'll be moving it up and then filling it up above so that I have water whenever I need it. With the feed, this is the feed that we use. It's a mixture of rolled oats, corn, soybean, black oil, sunflower seed, and then we get a mixture of minerals and micronutrients that will help supplement them to make sure they get all their minerals that they need. And then we just have these hanging. We also supplement chickens for nice strong eggs. We'll need oyster shell or some form of limestone. This bag is about $10. With our laying hens, with 135, we're going through a 50-pound bag about every 2 or 3 days, depending on how much they eat. And you can even, you're supposed to have this free choice so they can eat as much as they want. So we encourage scratching. So we'll actually toss them on the ground, and then if they need it, they can eat it as much as they want. And then we'll also, sometimes we'll put it in their feed, just as long as it will be sufficient. This is our nesting box. Every chicken that is going to lay eggs needs somewhere to lay it, but a nesting box is just a nice, quiet, dark place for where they can go in. Hens like their privacy, just like ladies. They just want a room by themselves, left alone, nice and dark. But it's also funny. This is actually an old one from an old confinement house. So we've taken this and just added it on to our chicken, or to our, what we're calling this, the chickshaw. And then with the 135 chickens in here, the amount that they poop at night is going to be too much for 2 weeks, and it'll burn the soil. So one thing that I'll do every 2 or 3 days, or whenever I'm feeling like it, I'll take the feeders off. Close up the door on the side. I use this for straw for the nesting boxes. And then I'll move it. So I'll make sure I don't run over any chickens. And then all I'm doing is moving this just so that when they poop, it will disperse the nitrogen across all of the ground. It's best when you move it to not move it onto a bare spot. It's always good to have good growing stuff there that could start consuming that nitrogen when it becomes available. But you can see they enjoy this feed. And then I'll take this, hook it right back up. But we keep these feeders full all the time. With a small flock, you don't have to do that. approximately a quarter a cup or a quarter a pound of food per chicken per day, so it's not really very much. 135 chickens right now for us go through 500 pounds of feed in between 10 and 11 days. So it does add up, but we're right now getting 80, 90 eggs a day. So with that, you know, this system, if we wanted to at night, when all of our chickens go up in, you can actually close the coop door, hook it up to your lawn tractor, ATV, four-wheeler, take the fences down, throw them on top, and then you have literally a chicken kit that you can move wherever you'd like on your property and wherever you need them. So we want to have happy animals, but we also want to make sure that our land doesn't sacrifice, and we don't want to create erosion problems later on down the road. So with that, I really appreciate you guys watching our video. If you check on our Facebook page, our business is the Blended Homestead, where we post videos very similar to this all the time on raising things in your garden, beekeeping, pigs, a lot of just homesteading things that we really enjoy, and we like to share with other people and try to grow agriculture for West Virginia. Before I conclude, I wanted to thank two people. Our Dewey View Extension agent, Karen Cox. She was the first one that really helped us develop and grow, you know, chicken questions, land access, all of that. And then we also want to give a shout out as well to our Department of Agriculture business coordinator, Casey Ganser. She has been monumental in helping us be able to grow so that we can get our product out. It's good to get 80 eggs a day, but if you don't have people buying 80 eggs a day, you start having problems. And you start having a lot of boiled eggs. So just want to thank them, and make sure you reach out and ask questions. I asked so many questions, and I'm still learning every day. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you around.